Hi, good afternoon. This is the STARS lesson number 3. So this is the third class for January. So just to recap, our first argumentative essay this month for lesson 1, the controversy. You can't have an argument without two sides, having a controversy. Are video games harmful? And what we found was they can be when they're played excessively, but video games can actually be quite educational and helpful when played in moderation and when games are age appropriate. Okay, so both sides had points, valid points. Last week, we talked about school uniforms. And I think those of you who are in class, or if you've done the lesson Zoom class, again, controversy. Do they make kids behave better? Do they make it a more cohesive, peaceful environment? And I think there's actually more weighing heavily in favor of uniforms, but there are valid arguments against them. So this week is our third lesson. And this is actually my last day to teach. This is Thursday, January 25th. So this is my last day to teach the lesson. So I've had some really interesting comments about this topic. Should kids get paid for chores? And fascinating responses. My younger kids, wow, mom and dad, you're doing good. They're saying, no, you live in the family. It's your house. You have the privilege of living under that roof. You should do your part. And I'm like, woo, bravo, great answer. And then I get to my older kids and I get a little bit different response. Yeah, we should be paid. Yeah, we should. Because when you work hard, you should be paid just like in a real job. Wow. Interesting. So what do the experts say? I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to play a very quick video, everyone. Here we go.
Kelly Warner. Getting kids to do chores is one of the most common arguments within families, but giving your child chores may be one of the most important things you can do to help them learn responsibility and important life skills. And it can start at a young age. And listen to your part now. You ready? As a pediatrician and a mom, Dr. Pilar Bradshaw discusses all kinds of issues with parents in her practice, including what age is appropriate for children to start doing household chores. I think it's great for kids as young as about age 3 to have as many daily little chores as they are years old. So a 4-year-old would have 4 little chores. Age appropriate chores help instill good habits. They help children build self reliance, confidence, and a positive work ethic starting as young as preschool. So, for example, a 3-year-old might pick up toys, help put their clothes away, or clear the table of their plate. But a 7-year-old will have increased responsibility, like helping to give food to the family pet. Little kids like to do what big people do, so use their natural enthusiasm to encourage them to pitch in. Be okay with imperfection. Avoid assigning a chore and then micromanaging every step of the task. Work side by side with your child. You'll be more successful by showing your kids that it's a family effort. And be sure to recognize their hard work and thank them for their efforts. Chores aren't always fun, but they are an important building block in helping ensure that as your children grow up, they are building skills that they'll need when they're living on their own. But I think chores should be a daily thing because all of us have things that we have to do every day. And we may not love all of them, but we do them and we get through them. It's just something we do. Some parents offer their kids an allowance for chores. Some choose to use other types of reward systems. To learn more, head to eugenepeds.com.
Okay, so didn't really answer, stop share, really the question, but it gives us some ideas here. First of all, pediatrician in the video said, you should be doing as many chores as your age. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that's a lot of chores for this girl. And I think what's another surprising comment from my students this week was, I said, well, gender roles really play a part in how much is done around the house and who takes the brunt of the workload. And so I asked the question, who does more around the house? Is it mom or dad? And I think you probably know the answer, everybody. And it's mom. So we really need to set up boys to take more initiative in helping. Why should we help around the house? Well, um, you all live in that house. You make the messes in that house. So doesn't it make sense to clean up the mess? Okay, so I had a wonderful group. I'm going to show you my board here of fifth graders on Saturday. And believe it or not, they came up with the list. I said, okay, let's look at the definition of chore, a routine task, especially a household one. Routine doesn't go away. And I think that's why, the word chore has kind of a bad connotation, a negative connotation. It is work. It has to be done every day. So I love what she said in the video, the pediatrician. You know what? We may not like it, but it has to be done. So cleaning your room. I'm guessing anyone who has their room, mom and dad pretty much put that responsibility on you, as they should. It's your space. You should want to take care of your space because it's yours. You should want it to be clean. You should want your bed made. You should want clothes off the floor. Vacuuming. I think vacuuming your room is fair. You don't want allergens and dust in the air. Get on your feet, get on your covers. Washing the dishes. Well, you eat off the dishes. Shouldn't you wash them? Right? At least wash them off. Maybe load the dishwasher, empty the dishwasher. Washing and drying the clothes. It's really easy to put a pile of clothes together, dump them in the washing machine, put a little, literally a little packet in, and push the button. Then you take them out, put them in the dryer, again, push the button. I think the hardest part is taking them out, folding them. And then that final step is the one kids really struggle with, at least my kids, is putting your laundry away. Important skills to be able to do yourself, because when you go off to college, you're going to have a roommate. And that roommate is going to be very frustrated with you if you don't have good cleanliness and work habits, which you learn by doing chores at home. Watching a sibling, those of you who have a younger sibling, maybe you have an older sibling and you're the younger sibling. I was the youngest of four, but I will tell you this, when I was 13, I used to babysit my neighbor's kids all summer. She would go off to work. She was a single mom, and I would be there at 8 o'clock, and she'd come home 5 or 6. I made a lot of money in those summers. Hang up the bath towel. For some reason, this is hard for boys. And I'm not picking on you. It's just, at least in my house. Cleaning the toilet and the sink. Now, I know the toilet one, y'all are going, ew, stinky. If you use the toilet, you should clean the toilet. If you make the mess, you should clean it up. Cooking a meal. I know some of you might think, I can't cook a meal. Yeah, you can. You can do more than you think you can. And when you go off to college, 17 or 18, I was 17 when I went off to college. I'm a summer birthday. You're going to need to do that. You're going to need to be able to take care of yourself. Putting gas in the car, changing the oil, or putting air in the tires. You know what? When you get a car, you can start driving at 15, you get your license at 16. Those are tasks that a car owner has to know, even changing a tire. Walking a dog, scooping poop, or feeding a pet. If you have a family pet, everyone should take part in their taking care of that pet. Okay, so you'll see a category on the board, and if you can't see it from there, it's called Above and Beyond. Okay, so here's where I kind of start to agree with the article, and I'll go back and forth here. So we have 2 articles today, and I'm going to give you a pretty big assignment, but I'm going to give you an awful lot to work with. So the first article comes from Kids Money. dated January 17th, 2023. Okay, so I want you to know that I try to find the most recent sources. And kids' money, this is, designed for kids to read, and it's really about money. So why would we pay kids chores? And one of the responses in my class was, kids need to learn how to manage money. 100% agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. Um, the biggest mistake a parent can make is making financial decisions for their child and not letting them spend saved money. Because if you make mistakes now when you're young, you're less likely to make them when you're older. Okay, so here's what they say. If you ask us, kids should not get paid for chores. For a household to run successfully, everyone needs to pull their weight. Fair. Even toddlers, again, in the video, if you're 3, you can do 3 things. And I used to sing the Barney song to my kids, clean up, everybody, everywhere. You get the point. And they didn't mind it. And here's the really interesting thing. When I was a school teacher in the classroom, boy, did my kids jump for jobs. I had a job chart. I needed something taken to the office. Every hand would go up. So what is that? Why are kids willing to help a teacher, wanting to run the errands, but they're less inclined to help mom and dad at home? So let me ask you this. Have any of you been scolded, reminded, persuaded, maybe even yelled at, maybe punished because you didn't do your chores? And I'm guessing the answer is yes, all of the above. Because chores aren't fun. But let me throw this at you. If you don't do the chore, who does the chore? I'm guessing it's mom or dad. And you're going to have a very grumpy mom or dad who, like me, has a full-time job. I go home, I cook meals, I take care of my own mess. The last thing I want to do is add one more thing to my already busy schedule. Okay. So every child should have age-appropriate household duties, and every child should be pitching in. Why? Because it's a family. We all share in the responsibilities of the home. Okay, so let's face it, we're busier than ever. This generation of kids, I've never seen anything like it. You go to school 7, 8 hours a day. Then you come to my class, and I'm guessing you come to other classes every day of the week too. So that's a job, that's a job, that's a job, that's a job, that's a job. The more jobs you have on your plate or on your list, on your schedule, the less likely you are going to want to add anything else to that. And I can totally get that. So there are families, especially of teenagers. If you have an older sibling, they're really good at saying, I'm so busy with school and that I can't do that. Maybe an allowance will give them incentive. So there are circumstances where maybe if it incentivizes your kid, and I don't know that you're necessarily paying them for chores, they're just saying, if you do this, you'll earn X amount at the end of the week. And then they learn the value of working hard and that they do earn a sum of money for helping out. And they can save up for something that they want. So there is merit to that argument too. Okay, think about those some family duties you shouldn't have to pay to do. I mean, you shouldn't have to be paid to brush your teeth or take a shower or eat your dinner. And I know you're thinking that's crazy for me to even mention that, but the article is going to mention it here in a second. If grandma and grandpa need help with something, you need to help them push a wheelchair or you need to open a door for them, that should just be courtesy and respect for them. There are expectations of anyone who lives in a household. And let me just tell you, when you go to visit someone else's house, you will not be invited back if you don't offer to help out. Every Thanksgiving, we have this standard job list. My mother-in-law cooks the most fantastic homemade meal. Everything is from scratch, and she gets out the fine china, this polishes the silver, floral arrangements, candlelight, the whole thing. And it's a beautiful, exquisite table. And she's worked hard. She cooks usually, 2 days before. Um, so at the end of the meal, our token response, my husband and I, is the cook shouldn't have to clean. So I grab in there, I get in there, I put my apron on, and I start cleaning. And then this year was no different. And my mother-in-law I just love that. So my husband and I do that. Whoever cooks, the other one cleans. If my husband cooks, I clean. If I cook, he cleans. So it's just kind of we just pitch in. We know that everybody's going to do their part. Everyone's going to do a job. But here's the thing. When you are a child at home who willingly does their chores, you're more likely to be service oriented at school. You're more likely to, want to be part of student council. You want to have this service helpful mentality. When you go out into the real world, you'll end up serving the community. You're going to be that employee that's conscientious, that's aware of being respectful and doing their part. And we live in a society with community-minded and socially conscious people. So it's important to do that. I'm going to turn the page here. Here are some reasons not to pay your child. They might develop a sense of entitlement. I do my job at school. I shouldn't have to do it at home too. And maybe if they're being paid to do their job, they're like, okay, well, I'm not going to do it. I don't care if you pay me or not. You're still going to buy me clothes. I'll get what I want anyway. I don't want to do the chore. So paying a child to do a chore might discourage them from doing the right thing. They should, do it because that's their job and they made the mess. But I started babysitting when I was 13. I looked for ways to make money. I asked my mom or dad for money. I was like, I can find my way. My daughter's friend, when she was 16, she worked on rover.com. And if you know what rover.com is, it's a dog walking service. She loved animals, and she just built up a reputation and people would call her. She would, dog walk, dog sit. Kids should do chores without payment for the same reason we do. It's got to get done. The family doesn't function. Or mom and dad do it all and we're grumpy and mean. And you don't want that either. The pitfalls of paying your kids for every single chore. I love this. They're going to expect to be paid for everything, no matter how small. I brushed my teeth. Could I get paid? I finished my dinner. Obviously, it sends the wrong message. Okay, but what about chores that are above and beyond? Okay, I actually agree with this. If your mom and dad pay someone else to do the chore and they ask you to do it, that chore is above and beyond. For example, mowing the lawn. I have a lawn service. I have a pretty big yard. And 4 or 5 guys come into my lawn service and they get it done pretty quickly. If you've seen the lawn crews, they come in, they get it done, they're gone. If you've ever mowed a lawn, it's not that fast to edge and mow. So I think if you're a 16-year-old, I think you have to be a little bit older, with the dangerous lawnmower and the blades. I think they should be paid. Babysitting. Now, if it's just an hour, your mom and dad go run an errand. If it's dinner and your mom and dad are at a couple's house for 3 or 4 hours, I'm sorry, you should be paid for that. That's your time. That's valuable. That's a little bit above and beyond. Raking leaves. Oh my gosh. My tree just dumped just a massive amount of leaves, not just in my yard. They blew in both my neighbor's yard and I hired the crew. I said, can y'all please not just get the leaves here? This is horrible. Get the leaves. And everyone's, and they had 5 guys come out, 7 bags. I'm talking huge bags of leaves. And it was a big crew and they got it done in about 40 minutes. And I thought that would take me days. Of course, you're going to pay somebody if they want to do that. So I do think Depending upon the service or the expectation. Another thing came up, if your parents ask you, if you're 16, to drive your siblings somewhere. Again, if it's every day or every week and they expect you to do that, I think you should be paid. If it's just, a one-time thing, sure, I'll take you, no big deal. But if it's like a consistent thing, I mean, you're an Uber driver, you should be paid. That's just my feeling on it. Okay, the second article, I'm just going to go through this one really quickly. The most successful adults are kids who internalized life lessons. So you want intrinsic motivation. You should want to clean your room because it's your room. It's your space. You live in that space. You should want to clean your toilet because that's bacteria. And every time you flush, that's all that fecal matter, like I know it's gross, gets in the air. You need to clean your toilet. It's real simple. What if one day money's not enough? Okay, that's where that intrinsic motivation comes in. You have to want to do things because it's the right thing to do. If you make the mess, you should clean it up. And at school, if you're in the cafeteria and you've made a mess, I guarantee you your teacher's going to say, clean that up. Or if at your desk, you've made a mess on the floor, your teacher's going to say, you will not leave my classroom until you clean up that mess. And rightly so. So let's go to, anything else I'm going to add here. Your outline. Okay, so week 1, I assigned your lead and body 1. Week 2, I assigned the second half, body 2, and the conclusion. I will tell you the leads were actually pretty good. The conclusions are pretty rough right now. Okay, so I am going to share the screen here. And I am going to go, share. I'm going to go to the lesson here. And I'm going to go to the lead here. I'm going to give you the lead, and I've kind of already talked to you about it. Please put your own spin on it. I don't want my words. I want your words. What do you think the controversy is? A child as young as 3 can be taught to clean up a mess. In fact, making a game out of cleaning up can motivate them to want to help out mom and dad. As kids grow older and enter school age, it's quite common for a child to want to be chosen by the teacher on the job chart. It's perceived as a privilege to be able to perform a certain job for the teacher. However, when it comes to an at-home chore, kids don't feel the same incentive to complete chores, even if they made the mess. It often takes a bit of persuading, scolding, or punishment before a parent convinces a child to help. And so those who feel a child should not be paid to do chores believe a child must learn to clean up for themselves because it's the right thing to do for the family. However, others argue, I think that needs to be there, paying a child to do chores can be done when the job is out of the ordinary. As it teaches them when they work, they should be paid for their effort. And here's what you're probably thinking. Both sides are right. And that's actually what we learn in an argumentative essay. So you'll notice I didn't use first person. I didn't use second person you and your. This is a third person point of view. You can see that right here. Third person point of view. I'm just gonna put that in a cute color. No, let's make that even brighter. Make that brighter. Okay. So here's our thesis. Parents, pediatricians, and psychologists have opposing points of view when it comes to either paying children to perform chores around the house versus expecting them to fulfill their roles as a family member and do the jobs without being paid. Okay, so here's where it's going to get fun, everybody. Every sentence given right here, so I'm gonna do them in blue here. There are specific reasons why children should not be paid to do household chores. Now, let me be clear. All of the arguments are in the 2 articles I gave you. So first of all, parents, I'm even giving you the point, have expectations when it comes to their children pulling their own weight when it comes to chores. Okay. And yes, you can use that sentence. If you've been with me a while, you can modify that a little bit. If you're new, you can go ahead and copy the sentence. But here where it says explain why, the answer is in the article. I want 2 sentences to back up number 1's claim. Number 3, a child who's paid to do chores will expect payment for other jobs. This is the entitlement argue. Go find that in the article and explain what happens if a kid is paid. What is their expectation? Finally, a child needs to feel intrinsic motivation to do chores simply because they need to be done, not because they're being paid to do them. And this could be, for example, if it's your room, you should feel motivated because it's your space. It's yours to take care of. For example, if it's your school belongings, you shouldn't throw them on the floor. You shouldn't throw them in your backpack. You should take care of them. A child who completes chores without expecting payment understands, typo there, their family obligations and will likely be more willing to serve at school or at a community. And that is true. Okay, so all the blue sentences I have given you, if you count them up, that's 5 sentences. I'm asking you for 6 more. Now, a normal body paragraph is 8 sentences minimum. And I know a lot of kids are telling me that there are rules at school. Okay, first of all, let me just tell you, I'm just trying to get you to back up your point without repeating yourself. There's no rule here. There's no mandated number of sentences. It just has to be more than 8, in my opinion. I just want to know that you've developed and answered it. Body 2, there are exceptions when certain jobs around the house should require a parent to pay their child. And I actually agree with this. If a child is doing a job above and beyond what is normally expected, they should be paid. Okay, so for example, if your parents are would pay someone else normally, right? And this is not a normal job to make the house function, then yes. And that answer is in the article as well. When a parent would normally pay someone else to do a chart, they should pay their child that amount. Okay. Lastly, if paying a small allowance motivates a child to do their chores, it's worth a try. For some teenagers, that is the only way parents can get them to do their job. Paying a child to do chores can work. It can be a smart way for parents to teach kids hard work should be paid if they put in the time and effort. Okay. To answer the debate about whether parents should pay their child to do chores, expect them to do them as their duty as a family member, it depends on the job being performed by the child and what motivates a child to be a conscientious worker. So both sides of the controversy have valid points when it comes to paying kids to do their household chores. So what could be a solution? Okay. So I'm going to kind of add here the answer to the question is, it depends on the circumstances. If it is a job which teaches a child to be responsible and take care of themselves or their possessions, they should not be paid. Okay. When should they be paid, right? Okay. This teaches a child responsibility. Wow, the typo. And as they become more independent, they gain confidence and no longer need mom and dad to do their job. And that's kind of a feeling of satisfaction. You get the point there, right? So I'm going to kind of make that smaller. Okay. Ooh, really make that smaller. Okay. So an example, and I didn't have one for anybody until I had a brand new student. So this is an example body paragraph. So I want your point of view. I don't want my point of view. Okay, so just a challenge here. I am asking for the whole essay. If you have been with me for over 6 months, if you have not, and you're young and you're only doing part of the essay, please do body paragraphs only. I would rather have 2 good body paragraphs than 4 poor body paragraphs. So you make the decision. All right, so let me stop share there. Okay. So this is actually the last argumentative essay we're going to do. This concludes looking at both sides. We will start something new next month. But the point of this was to take information. So you should read the articles. And if you don't, I can tell. I can tell when you didn't read the articles. So if you're not reading the articles and you're just guessing, you're going to fail the STAR question on the STARS test. They ask you a question and they expect you to go back in the information and look it up. That's what I'm testing. Go back in the articles, find the answer. All right, this concludes lesson 3. Thank you for watching. And please submit your essay as soon as possible and have a great day.